It was the worst snowstorm in decades, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and turns your breath to ice. I was driving home from my night shift, the roads empty, the world reduced to a howling white void. That's when I saw her. A woman in a red coat, standing in the middle of the highway. No car, no footprints, just her. This is the story of the night I picked up a hitchhiker who wasn't alive. I'd taken the back roads to avoid the highway closures. Big mistake. The snow was falling sideways, my wipers fighting a losing battle. That's when my headlights caught her. She stood perfectly still, her red coat blazing against the whiteout. I hit the brakes, skidding to a stop. "Are you insane?" I shouted, rolling down the window. She didn't answer, just stared at me with eyes as black as the sky. "Need a ride?" I asked, against every instinct screaming at me to drive away. She nodded, sliding into the passenger seat without a word. The smell hit me first. Rotten pine and wet earth. Her coat was dry despite the storm. She never spoke, just pointed ahead, her finger trembling. I followed her directions, turning onto a road I didn't recognize. The trees closed in, skeletal branches scraping the roof. "Where are we going?" I asked. She turned slowly, and that's when I saw it. The gaping hole in her coat. A dark stain spread across her chest, glistening in the dashboard light. Not red, black. "Almost there," she whispered, her voice like wind through a graveyard. The car died. No warning, no sputter, just silence. The woman grabbed my arm, her fingers freezing through my jacket. "They're coming," she said, "the ones who left me here." Outside, shadows moved in the blizzard, tall, hunched. Their eyes glowed faintly blue. I fumbled for my phone, no signal. When I looked back, she was gone. Only her coat remained, folded neatly on the seat. And on the floor, a Polaroid photo. A woman in a red coat, lying in a snowdrift, dated December 15th, 1982, the day she vanished.
"They are here."
I ran, didn't look back. The next day, the police found my car abandoned, the doors frozen shut. No footprints, no coat. But they did find something else. A frozen body under the snow, 3 miles from where I'd stopped. A woman in a red coat, missing since 1982. They say hypothermia makes you see things, but I know what I saw. And on stormy winter nights, I still hear her voice.
"They are coming."
After my grandfather died, I inherited his old cabin deep in the mountains. He'd warned me never to go there in winter, but I didn't listen. And now, I've awoken something that should have stayed buried. This is the story of the frost child and the curse that followed me home. The cabin hadn't been opened in decades. The keys rusted, the porch sagging under feet of snow. Inside, it smelled like mildew and memories. Grandpa's journals were piled in the corner, pages filled with sketches of a pale, hollow-eyed child. "Don't speak its name," he'd written. "Don't light a fire after dark." But the cold was unbearable. I built a fire anyway. That's when the knocking started. Not on the door, in the walls. Tiny fists, pounding in rhythm. Then, laughter. High-pitched. Wrong. I told myself it was the wind. But that night, I woke to frost coating the inside of my bedroom window. And there, etched into the ice, a single word. Play. The next morning, I found Grandpa's old tape recorder. Dusty, but still working. The tape inside was labeled,
"Do not listen."
Curiosity killed the cat, right? I pressed play. Static hissed, then a child's voice. "Come find me, Grandpa." I'm in the snow, followed by screams. Not a child's, a man's. Grandpa's. The tape ended with a guttural whisper. "You're it." That's when the blizzard hit. The power died. The fire went out, and the temperature plummeted. I bundled up, but the cold, it wasn't normal. It slithered under my skin, into my lungs. And then, I saw it. A small figure outside the window. No coat, no shoes, just a threadbare nightgown. its skin blue and cracked like ice. It pointed at me, grinned with needle-like teeth, and vanished. I tried to leave. The doors were frozen shut. The windows too, and the knocking. It was everywhere now. Ceiling, floor, inside the fireplace. I hid in the closet, breath fogging the air, when the tape recorder clicked on by itself.
Found you.
The child giggled. The closet door flew open. There it stood, the frost child. Its eyes were voids. Its fingers ended in icicles. And its voice, it wasn't a voice. It was the sound of glaciers splitting.
You're it.
I ran, bashed a window open with a chair and stumbled into the storm. The cold burned like fire. Behind me, the cabin groaned. I glanced back and saw it, the frost child, standing in the attic window, waving, smiling, and behind it, dozens of small shadows pressing against the glass. Search crews found me half-frozen miles from the cabin. They said it collapsed in the storm. No trace of the tape recorder, no bodies, but they didn't feel what I felt. The frost child's grip on my shoulder, or see what follows me now. Every winter, when the first snow falls, my breath fogs the mirror, and tiny fingerprints appear in the frost. Last night, I woke to whispering,
Your turn to hide.
When I was 12, 3 friends vanished through the ice of Silver Lake. The police called it a tragedy. The town called it an accident. But I know the truth. The lake didn't take them. Something beneath it did. And last winter, it came for me too. Silver Lake was famous for one thing. It never froze completely. Not even at 30 degrees. A perfect circle of black water always remained at the center, swirling slowly, like a pupil staring at the sky. Kids dared each other to skate to the edge. I did it once, never again. But when my brother's dog ran onto the ice last year, I had no choice. I followed and heard them, voices, my friends' voices, calling from below. The dog was barking at the dark water. As I grabbed her collar, the ice cracked, not beneath me, around me. Spidery fractures raced outward, trapping me in a perfect circle. And that's when I saw them, faces, pressed against the underside of the ice. My friends, exactly as they'd looked the day they vanished, mouthing the same word, help. I ran, left the dog, left everything. The next day, search teams found nothing. No cracks, no footprints, just smooth, unbroken ice. But I couldn't let it go. I went back at night with a pickaxe and a flashlight, chipped at the ice until I hit something solid. Not water, glass, and beneath it, a frozen playground, swings, slides, and tiny figures, motionless. My friends, still 12 years old, still screaming. I dropped the axe. The ice began to heal. Frost crawled up my legs, rooting me in place. And then, I saw it. A massive shadow moving under the lake. Not a fish, not a whale. Something with too many limbs. Something that smiled. The ice shattered. I plunged into the water, but it wasn't water. It was thick, syrupy, alive. The thing dragged me deeper, into a cavern of ice. Frozen bodies hung from the ceiling, dozens of them, kids, adults, all preserved in terror. My friends floated among them, their eyes wide, fingers clawing at nothing. The thing tightened its grip, and I understood. It wasn't drowning me, it was preserving me. I stabbed it with my ice pick. Black sludge oozed from the wound. It screamed, a sound like glaciers collapsing, and threw me aside. I swam toward a pale light above, the ice sealing shut behind me. I don't remember crawling out, just waking up on shore, the lake silent, unbroken, and the dog. She was waiting, but her eyes, they were solid white. The town thinks I'm crazy, but I know what's under Silver Lake, and I know why it never freezes. It's feeding. Every winter it grows stronger. Last week, the dog led me back to the shore. The ice parted like a curtain, and my brother stood there, knee-deep in the black water, grinning. "Come in," he said. "The water's fine." His eyes were white, too.
We've missed you.
I don't trust the snow anymore. and I never let it silence the screams.